If you want to learn how to draw muscular, constipated figures, then I'd have to make another tutorial. But in this one, I know a lot of you want to draw like super muscular, flexing and veins popping out and all that, and it looks pretty cool. But the truth of the matter is you're going to draw ordinary looking people for the majority of the time, okay? That was the mistake I made. I learned how to draw the flexing, super bulky superhero figures first.
We don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
And then when I came to actually drawing comic books, I found that a lot of characters were actually ordinary. No shit. They were normal. They weren't muscular at all. And you would think that it was easy for me to switch my mind back to drawing ordinary figures, but that wasn't it. I had to relearn how to draw ordinary people.
But anywho,
first things first is you want to draw a rectangle. Now that we've drawn the rectangle, I need you guys to be really generous with the portion of the rectangle that is the ribcage, because the ribcage is actually quite longer than a lot of us might think. This part here is the ribcage, this is the belly, and this is the pelvis. The largest part of the torso is the ribcage, because there are a lot of bones in the ribcage and a lot of us don't take that into account. So you want to really be generous with the size of the ribcage. And then the middle part will be the belly. Now, what it looks like from other angles, like the side view, is going to be quite different from what you're looking at right now. And here's what I mean. A lot of people, they typically draw the human figure in a straight line, but the truth is it counterbalances. There's this synergy that goes on. The head counterbalances the ribcage, and the ribcage counterbalances the pelvis. The pelvis counterbalances the legs, and the legs, so on and so forth. That's how it is. And so when you're drawing the ribcage from the side view, or the torso from the side view, it is probably going to look like something like this. So remember, the ribcage, the top part of the ribcage tilts backward, and then the top part of the pelvis tilts forward. And then if we're going to incorporate the neck, it's going to go forwards like that. One more dynamic that goes into the torso is if you're going to draw a bend torso, let's say our character here tilts to the side like that. What's going to happen is the direction in which our character bends towards, that side of the belly is going to be pinched. Then the opposite side is going to be stretched. Alright, so there's going to be a bend here and there's going to be a straight here on the opposite end. And that's the dynamic that you want to keep in mind. Just think of the torso as two rectangles attaching to a circle. If you notice that the middle part here is sort of not strict in its shape, it's sort of more flexible as opposed to the rib cage, and that's the relationship between these three parts of the torso. Okay, now to the top half of the torso. The first thing I want you guys to keep in mind, the rib cage has an opening. The actual shape of the rib cage is sort of like a flattened egg-like shape. It looks like that, and it has more planes going in like that, and you know, here it goes out and then it goes in and then it goes up again like that, but we won't stick to those details. So how to determine the opening of the rib cage is you are basically going to cut the rib cage in half, and then the middle of this square, this boxed rib cage here, is where the opening of the rib cage is going to be. That's how you determine where the opening is going to be. Okay, this is another proportion, if you will. The opening of the rib cage takes up half of the rib cage. Why is that important, you may ask? Well, when you can determine the opening of the rib cage, it'll be much easier for you to know where the chest muscles attach, and it'll be easier for you to determine where the, for example, the six-pack attaches. How that works is you cut the ribcage in half like that and you determine the opening here. You will know that right here at the top, this is where the chest begins. This is where the pecs are, right here like that. It'll be much easier to determine. And then for the bottom part here, it'll be easier for you to know that the six-pack starts at the very top here. A lot of people draw the six-pack only in the belly area like that, and then the rib cage is on top here, but that's actually not how the body is. The first two of the six packs attach to the very top of the rib cage, but that's for later. Now, a lot of people struggle with drawing shoulders because a lot of people tend to draw flat shoulders like that, and then the neck is here. The truth is, there's a muscle that attaches from the shoulder here to the neck. The name of that muscle is the trapezius, but you don't have to know the name. I just need you to know that the overall shape of that muscle is sort of triangular like that. Now this muscle is on everyone.
No shit.
The super muscular and the not so muscular people. Now on the not so muscular people, it is going to look like this. Now you can start with a boxed rib cage like that, and then you attach the arms to the rib cage like that, and then the head is somewhere here and the neck is somewhere here. When you draw them up too high, then the figure will look more muscular, but when you draw them sort of at a lower, maybe let's say half of the neck like that, then it will look more natural. That's what you want to keep in mind. And then where you attach it to the neck, like the height to which you attach it to the neck, will determine how muscular your character will look. When you draw the human anatomy in square-like shapes, it automatically forces you to think of the human figure in 3D. If I was to stretch this part of the body, what will it look like here? If I was to draw it from the top view, what will it look like from the bottom? That's the importance of drawing the human body with the square shapes. Now when it comes to drawing hands, don't stress yourself too much. Imagine them in its grouped kind of form. And this is what a hand looks like. This top part is where the shoulder is. This part here is where the bicep is. And then this part here is where the forearm is. And then the inside of the arm, I just make it flat like that. Just imagine a chain. Look at this outline here. Imagine this protruding part. This part that's protruding on the outside as the shoulder. And then the part that goes in is the middle part of the arm, where the bicep and the tricep is and everything else. And then the parts that comes out again. Remember, there's this synergy thing. The human body is all about rhythm. So it comes out, that's the shoulder. It goes in, that's where the bicep is. It comes out, that's where the forearm is. And this is the basic shape that I think of. And so how it attaches to the torso. But this one, let's imagine he's maybe, I don't know, flying or something. So the shoulder will come out like that. And then it goes in for the middle part of the arm, and then it comes out again like that. Now if we're going to break that down some more, the shoulder, you can draw that as a spherical shape. And then for the bicep, just imagine a cylindrical shape like that. Imagine a, what do you call it? A tapering kind of cylinder, right? A tapering kind of cylinder, meaning it will be bigger at the top, it'll be thinner coming down to the wrist like that. And that's the same principle for the leg, but with these three shapes are all you're going to need to know. The shoulder, you just draw a spherical shape like that. For the middle part, it goes in, and then for the forearm, it comes out again like that. Here's how you determine the proportions of the arm in relation to the torso. All right, so we draw the triangular shape here. Right. The neck is going to come out like that. So we draw the spherical shape. That's for the shoulder. How I draw it is the bottom part of the rib cage here. That's where the joint of the elbow is going to be. Now it won't be straight like that. It will be at a tilted position like that. So this is the shoulder, and then the bicep will come like that. Remember, I draw the straight line like that. So the shoulder comes out. Then for the bicep, it goes in like that. And this shape here, that's where the joint of the elbow is going to be. And I think the belly button is actually supposed to be here as well. The base of the rib cage is where the joint of the elbow is going to be. And then it's going to, the forearm is going to protrude again here, and then it's going to get smaller. All right, so the wrist ends at the bottom part of the pelvis here. The top of the opening of the rib cage is where the chest begins as well. So let's say that this is where the chest is. The base of the tricep is going to be where the chest ends. So let me break it down some more. We have the chest here, and then we have this part here. The neck is going to be here. The shoulder begins here, and then the base of the shoulder ends where the chest ends, and the rib cage is going to be somewhere here like that. This is the opening. Okay. The bottom part of the rib cage is going to be where the forearm begins, and then the forearm, remember, it's at an angle. It isn't really straight like that. It's at an angle, so maybe we need to end the rib cage somewhere there. And then the wrist is at the base of the pelvis. Those are the proportions.